Wow, I started this before I was ready. So welcome everyone, this is gate 22. Let's see if I can find it quickly and not waste your time. But in the meantime, I could explain some stuff about gate 22. So this is another gate, so think about it like in Pisces season, which we're still in. What we're looking at is gates that are activated all along this kind of axis, this solar plexus axis. So just a lot of emotions being processed. It's all these weeks, and with Mercury in retrograde, we're getting to kind of revisit and really feel into what it is that's happening and express it. And this is, in a way, it's my favorite gate, because Red always likes to say that the healing for life is service to others. He says that that's how you increase to the higher frequency of any gate. That's how you surpass its shadow. That's the real key, he says, in a sense, to the shadow work of a particular gate frequency. And, we all suffer when we're in the shadow. We suffer because we're holding to something, and we're not able to let go and flow with it. And grace is something that's really important, because we all suffer through what we're holding on to. And yet, the simple cure for that is to suffer with grace. And what does that mean? It means to be at one with your suffering. Be okay with it. That's all. That's all it means. It doesn't mean validating it or amplifying it or exaggerating it or complaining about it. It just means kind of being with it, being in it. And it's real powerful. There's a song, I really like this song by Paul Masvidal, the guitarist for Cynic. He had this project he did. It was kind of like a very light-sided project, and it was just one album, and it was called Aeon. It was Aeon Spoke, and they had a song called Grace on that album. And it's a really beautiful song. But it's about that. It's about just very simple. It's not pretentious at all. It's just a very simple expression of confusion about knowing what one really even feels, or what one is going through, and not worrying about that, but just going through the process of whatever it is with grace. And so with that, I'm going to start with Ross tape on gate 22. Now, this whole channel is not activated, but if it was, if gate 12 was activated, we would have this channel here, the channel of openness, which is a channel that is highly individual and needs to do, ultimately, once it's clear, it needs to do what it needs to do, no matter what. It's a very emotionally individuated channel. It's a very heavily emotional channel. Probably in the whole design, I would say that, and of course the 5539. Especially because they're individual. So you're dealing with melancholy. You're dealing with the high end and the low end of the wave. And what Ra has for us is, he calls it the design of the social or the antisocial being. Because in the gate of grace, there's a nice play on this. He says the gate of grace and the gate of disgrace. It can be both depending on the nature of the wave. Now, we know this is individual, so it's deeply mutable, deeply mutative. And it is only out of this channel that a mutation can actually spread. It gives this channel an unusual quality. All mutation moves out into general population through the 1222. The 12th gate has already been responsible for the mutation in our larynx, which allows us to articulate through language. The 55 will be the mutation that takes place to allow the nature of the spirit to come out. And the pressure is on the 22 to recognize when to be socially open to release the mutation. So 22s can come off as being very social, but the opposite can be the case. Depends on their mood, depends on their process. Now, this is a great gift of the 22 raw notes. He says, when it is the correct moment to release this mutation, there is disgrace because it doesn't work. Timing is in the nature of moods. The 22nd gate, the gate of openness, the possibility to provoke social openness or not. They can provoke it. And then remember that the nature of the 39 that teases the 55. They can be deeply antisocial in the way that the 55th gate can not only show the highest level of emotion, it can be absolutely icy cold and not releasing any emotion whatsoever. The awareness possibility is the openness to eating. Now that's I'm talking about the 55, which by the way is active. It's currently active. The 39-55, the provocations, the moodiness. And then we got the 40-37 going. We have 3 emotional waves going this week. This is really moody and really intense. There's going to be a need for isolation, a need to be in your own space with the 40 activated in the south node. That's very strong. And, you know, you got the 55 here being activated. And it's probably being, what is it being activated by? Oh, Mars. Mars is activating. But Mars is about to jump out pretty soon. But it's activating it. And the 39 is being activated by Jupiter. And that'll move out soon too, into the next gate. But so it may not be there too many days. But we have 3 emotional waves happening. And we have one that's individual. Oh, no, we only have 2 emotion waves going, and the gate 22. So we one that's tribal, the 40-37, and one that's emotional, the 55-39. Emotional but individual. The 22 is not a complete channel there, so it's alone is active. But if you have the 12, it will be activating that channel for you in your design. And Ra goes on to talk about that one of the things that are very good for individuals is to speak to people while they're eating. This is something that Ra talks about he learned a long time ago. And he says when he was teaching this, he always noticed how in institutions that they would enforce a no-eating process for decor, he assumed. But students were not allowed to eat, other than when I was teaching in a university in the early 1980s, he says he ran an experimental school in Ibiza. He took children who were having a hard time and that according to the authorities were not traditionally educational. He brought them together, taught them the history of the universe in 4 months. I loaded them up with all kinds of information, just as memory techniques. After 1 hour with me, they were hungry. This is one of the things to recognize about the nature of the mind. The moment you're truly using your mind, if you're not getting hungry, there's something wrong because you're using an enormous amount of energy. One of the things that kept my students brimming was that I allowed them to sit there and stuff their face the whole time that I was teaching them. It maintained their energy. The brain will deplete very quickly, and it's an important thing to be able to eat while you're doing your most important thinking, your most powerful thinking process. Speaking to people while they are eating is very good for individuals. It is the timing of those things. So it's very interesting. So what Ra is talking about here is grace as a strategy of modesty. And Ra talks about, not too much, but he talks about how the gate of grace is similar to the 55-39 because it's either in a state of openness or not. And it's hard to tell. Someone with that channel could be feeling very closed down and yet have all the social graces to seem like they're being open. And so it's a gate to observe. And I'm looking for it now so I could the summary of Chaitan's interpretation of this gate. And for that I'll need the emotional solar plexus center. Oh, here we go. So, gate 22, the gate of grace. Grace can either be a divine benevolence that shapes our lives, or relate to beauty and elegance. Either way, it can be an enabling gift for expansion and enhancement in all the aspects of life. So whatever you do it with grace. Now, it'll be evident to people around you, those that have this gate, that you are attractive in your own individual way in how you conduct your life. Your grace can show itself in many ways through your graceful movements, stylish clothes, refined ways you treat others. The chances are that grace often smiles down on you and that you've lived a charmed existence, pulling through even the most distressing moments. Gate 22 means grace shines out of you. Now, this doesn't mean your life's a bed of roses. Light is followed by darkness, and so grace can be followed by the three ugly sisters and all their troubles, just as Cinderella was. So you have to be prepared for such challenges. At these times, be watchful of your emotions, because there is a tendency to turn grace into disgrace when tested. You also have a romantic view of the world. Like the charmer you are, even animals can't get enough of you and will come as close as they possibly can, regardless of any allergies you might have. They seem to recognize in you something that is mysterious, magnetic. It is said that the greatest kings and queens gain their reputation not necessarily through their wisdom and conquests, but through the grace they represent. And so it is with you. And so, that's what it is here. Now to go further, Rudd, in Gene Keys, goes on to focus on the shadow expression of this gate. So the shadow expression is called dishonor. And in the chapter on Gate 22, or Gene Key 22 as he calls it, this is full of details. This is a long chapter. He adds the 7 seals, and he adds many other different examples of human spiritual laws. It's very fascinating. But for the purpose of this audio, I'm just going to go over the Gate 22. And he says that the 22 is about the truth of redemption. So here we have dishonor as the expression of the gate, and yet it's about redemption. So he talks about so before I say this, so one thing that's kind of understood once you realize that we don't live in a physical reality, or rather, the physical reality is contained in some kind of larger field, which records everything and plays it back to us upon death, if we haven't already played it back to ourselves. And of course, those are the images that pass before one's life. But you can always, play them for yourself prior. So, Rudd acknowledges this and talks about how all thoughts, feelings, and acts are recorded everywhere within the body of the universe. And so he talks about how karma is the universe mirroring back. Now, these are my own words, but the verse mirroring back our experiences to us that have not been completed, processed, distilled, cleared, accepted, allowed, gotten peace with. And that's what we call karma. And that's why there's a tendency to repeat experiences, to repeat patterns, to attract the same kind of people or experiences or relationships, or that's why it is. It is really a life of lessons. And if we can have grace with these lessons in the context of the law of divine memory of the verse, then this actually comes into existence. The conscious awareness that, yeah, this is a recorded world, and that our acts are ripples in the waters of consciousness itself. Now, like all the gates on the solar plexus, this is a very, very hugely emotional, expressive gate, encompassing great heights and corresponding depths, and can be the responsibility for issues in relationships. Now, the dark side of this is emotional energy is very powerful. You know, I heard it, I can't remember when, but I heard it talked about that using emotions, you know, yelling at others, can effectually give people injury, mental injuries. And so emotions can be used violently. And when one projects negative emotional power over another, you dishonor both yourself and the other person. And so one of the processes of the 22 is learning how to navigate and process emotional energy. And how does any gate on the solar plexus do it? Well, you know, that's a wave. That's a wave that's moving. So, you know, after it moves, it'll after it moves down, it'll move up. But it is important to clear up that center. And so nature usually is very helpful in helping those that are emotionally defined clear those areas up. And the idea in that Rudd notes is that every feeling, everything, every mood is put there for you to trust in. And that means to feel through. It doesn't mean to hold on to it and give it a story and call it truth. It has its importance in the moment to be felt through. And, you know, the other side of that is, the reflection of that is, of course, like we have to experience our suffering. Otherwise, we cannot get through to the other side and experience higher levels of consciousness. And as I noted before, the forces of the reverberations of our thoughts, our beingness, our expressions, our words, our actions, it comes back to us until we clear it, until we've ourselves let it go. And so the gift is graciousness, as Rudd notes. And grace means whatever you do in life, you consider the feelings of others. And it's one of the great social gifts that, you know, acknowledging the impact one has on others, especially in an emotionally uplifting way. And so the 22 in its highest expression can transform the lives of others. Now, relationships can be deeply challenging. So there's an important goal here to balance one's respect of others with healthy respect for themselves. And it is a gate that wants to live life to the full, from a deep place in the soul. And so, coming back to what Ross said, we're looking at the journey of redemption, of accepting, you know, and allowing for the processing of your experiences with grace, regardless of the suffering it might bring, and to learn from your actions. Remember that these gates are initiations. You know, when Pluto transits in a gate, when Saturn transits in a gate, And Uranus and Neptune transit in a gate, and you can see these gates right now. We're all going through these initiations. Saturn, gate 25. Can we love humanity? Uranus in gate 8. Can we speak our truth? Pluto in gate 41. Are our desires authentic? What can we imagine for others and for our life? What can we envision? And this is what it is. This is gate 22. Very powerful gate. A lot of emotional gates activated this week. Take it easy on others. Take it easy on yourself. A lot of emotional ups and downs. Maybe not pay too much attention to the collective movie being played, the new movie that has come out. You know, we all know the name. We all know the name of that book in the Bible. We all know what's playing out. I mean, it's quite obvious. It couldn't be more like polished as a movie. You know, it's almost predictable. I mean, it is. But, you know, the details are not. And, you know, some of us like to watch and see those details in action, and that's fine too. But remember to keep time for yourself. Now is a good week to find your center and to sit in silence and to be with yourself. All right, thanks so much, everyone, for listening. Couple notes on things. Gary and I did a video today. Tomorrow we'll do the part 2, and we'll put out in the next couple days. And then let's see what else. And then Tarot from Isabella and Gary and I will do another video covering the predictions we made for February. And maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll add some more predictions. I know we did up to July, mid-July, but we haven't done the rest of July yet, so it's a possibility. And Tool and I will probably do Mars next week, if we can both find the time. And I think coming up on the 16th, both Casey and Mario and I will come back on and do our thing. I forgot what we were going to do it on this one. I'll have to connect with them and see what we're going to do. But we'll do another video together. I think it's either this week or next week. And I think that's about it for details. And so hope you guys enjoy this, and the best to you all.